Street Fighter II was a revolutionary title that founded the fighting game genre as we know it. And even after inspiring plenty of copycats, Capcom consistently remained a heavy hitter by trying to innovate the genre, not only with the various Street Fighter titles, but with their other series as well. Darkstalkers, the Marvel Fighters, Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, Rival Schools, Red Earth, Cyberbots, and more. On paper this sounds like a good thing, but this approach is not without its flaws. Using new titles in order to experiment with new mechanics is fine, but using an old familiar franchise is different. The problem is that an existing successful franchise should already have specific features that contribute to its identity. If we look at the many Street Fighter titles, they ended up being very different from each other mechanically. After the Street Fighter II games, Alpha suddenly added chains, then Alpha 2 removed them but added custom combos. Alpha 3 made even more big changes, adding the dominant V-ISM while weakening fireballs and throws. Street Fighter 3 added dashes and the ability to parry, which, like V-ISM, dictated how the whole game was played. Street Fighter EX, 4, and 5 also changed many things that shape how the game is played. Even the little things, like adding dashes and slowing down walking speed, end up dictating the nature of the game. The end result is many Street Fighter games don't have much common with each other than the brand name and aesthetics. They are all called Street Fighter, and they all have a character named Ryu that does Hadokens and Shoryukens, but they play so differently, as if they each came from a different series. At this point, Street Fighter has changed so frequently over the years that it lacks a distinct mechanical identity. When a new Street Fighter game is announced, players who liked an old title don't know what to expect, and many of them will find that the new Street Fighter is lacking aspects and qualities that players were used to. It can also feel that some of the changes over the years were made as a selling point, a gimmick, rather than an honest attempt to improve. Seth Killian once said, "Ask yourself a simple question. What problems were the new edition supposed to solve?" The Street Fighter II formula was lightning in a bottle, and it ended up so good that it wasn't clear how it would evolve. Instead, the following games were based on some new flashy gimmick to tempt players to move on to the latest entry. Every such gimmick was accompanied with nerfing another, older aspect. Instead of making all the options balance among each other, the new games revolve around the new gimmicks. Let's take fireballs for example. In Street Fighter II, fireballs were strong, and the game was based heavily on the dynamics they created. Fighting for position to oppress with fireballs, or to prevent them, was a major part of high-level Street Fighter II play. Other aspects, like throws and normal pokes, were also very good. Fast forward to Alpha 3, the game has so many features, but openly favors the new systems over the old ones. Fireballs were nerfed heavily. They did almost no damage after traveling across the screen, which stifled ranged combat. Instead, what dominated the game was V-ISM, and much of the emphasis became about landing V-ISM combos and charging meter for it. Look at the Street Fighter 3 series, and this time fireballs lost their original purpose because of the new dominant parry mechanic. The fancy gimmicks often came at the expense of fine-tuning a game that expresses all the aspects that used to give Street Fighter its identity. The irony is that other developers take these same gimmicks and give them the proper fine-tuning in their own Street Fighter-style games. Sadly, these games often get ignored by fans of the Street Fighter style of play, mostly because they lack the Street Fighter brand and aesthetic. If you like fighting games that are more based on ground movement and poking, and less about air dashing and chain combos, consider giving lesser-known titles a chance as well. And don't just wait for a Street Fighter entry to finally satisfy your exact tastes. What do you think of our analysis? What are your thoughts on fighting game series changing every entry versus maintaining their identities? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.